So, if you've ever been the person in the room who's not just asking what's happening, but why does it keep happening this way? This video is for you. So, you're the one who notices patterns. You know how one decision can impact five other things further down the line, and you can't unsee the connections once you see them. You are what I call a systems thinker. And while it is a superpower to be able to build structure, to see the big picture, to be strategic and bring clarity to chaos, there are some things that go on behind the scenes that people may not realize about you. The overthinking, the planning that feels like it's never finished, and the frustration that you feel when people focus on fixing or treating the symptoms instead of fixing the system. So, on the surface, you look like somebody who is calm and composed, but mentally, you have 12 tabs open all at once. So, in this video, I want to break down what systems thinking really is, how it shows up in real life and in creativity. Plus, we're going to get into the good, the bad, and the things that make you feel like there's something wrong with you. But let me tell you now, there's nothing wrong with you. But being able to understand how you think can help you with your creativity, it can help you with your work, and it can change the way that you make decisions. So, we're going to get into the breakdown, covering different areas of the creative thinker. If this is something that is interesting to you and you want to learn how to make your creative thinking not only work for you, but to understand how do you think creatively, I have something that I'm going to share with you further in the video. So keep listening, because if you are any of these thinking styles, which you are because everybody is creative, then you're going to definitely want to know how to understand how you think and how to use it to your advantage. So let's get into the thinking styles, y'all. Okay, what did I do? What did I do? My comments are a little behind. There's a lag. So whatever you're responding to, I don't know when I said it. Okay, well let me get I'm gonna keep going, then you can tell me what you're talking about. So, what is systems thinking? Let's talk about it and let's break it down just a little bit. So, systems thinking is the way that some people understand the world by looking at how things come together, not just one thing at a time. So, instead of seeing what's happening right now, a systems thinker will ask things like, how did this start? What is this connected to? And if I change this part, what else is going to change? So you see the whole picture, not just pieces of it. So a just like how a bike, no, no, sorry, y'all. I'm over here looking at these notes. I don't even like that analogy. So I'm not going to use that. Sorry. I'm looking, I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. The gist of it is that you see how every part works together, how it comes together. So let's talk about what systems thinkers are really good at. Um, I'm gonna take a second because I feel like I'm like speeding through these, and I don't want to shortchange systems thinkers. So let me pause just for a second, slow it down a bit. So one of the things that I want you to take into consideration as I talk about the systems thinker is that my theory, this is not proven, but this is my theory, that systems thinkers are likely the ones that are least likely to consider themselves to be creatives. And I say that because systems thinkers deal with a lot of the things that pertain to the connections, the relationship, the logic of it. And you may not always realize or may never realize that that is still creativity. Literally, the essence of creativity is solving a problem. It's problem solving. And the fact that you are able to not only see the correlation in systems and in frameworks, you also are likely able to see the relationships with people, how people come together, how they fit, and what they mean in the grand scheme of things. And so your ability to not only accept that this is your way of expressing your creativity, but also owning the fact that you are still a creative, even if it doesn't look the way that it would look if you were a aesthetic thinker, which we will talk about aesthetic thinkers and break them down. So I want to make sure that you know, and as you listen to this, get excited and feel proud of what you do naturally and what you bring to the table. Because one thing that you need to know about systems thinkers is that you're the one that helps to make things last. You bring the longevity, you bring the system, you bring the structure that takes an idea from a concept, that takes it from the brainstorming session and turns it into something that can sustain itself, that can last. So there is literally no business, no business that can survive without a systems thinker in the process. Okay. So you are an integral part of any business. And if you are a systems thinker running your own business, you really up, okay? You really up because you have the structure, you have the ability to create some things that are just incredible, okay? So let's talk about what systems thinkers, that's a good segue, what systems thinkers are really good at. So the first thing is seeing connections, okay? Seeing things and noticing how one thing affects the other. So you can see the links that other people miss. And oftentimes you are very adept at recognizing patterns and seeing how to not only make things work but also recognizing, does this work? Is this the right thing? Like, are we, is this really making the connection that we're looking for? So an example of this, if we're talking about a team, is if this rule changes, the team will struggle. If we rush this step, it will cause problems later. So those are things that you'll likely bring up and bring to people's attention, right? How will this impact the team? This might cause some challenges or some struggles if we just brush past this, just move past this. The second thing that systems thinkers are strong at is putting pieces together. So you like to gather information and organize it in a way that makes sense. And you are the person where you love a problem. Like a problem, hate to see you coming because it's going to get solved. You're going to figure out, okay, this is how this fits. Like putting together a, I want to say like putting together a puzzle, but I want to do a better analogy than that, but I ain't got one. So bringing the pieces together, making it fit, making it work. So instead of random facts, you're likely to create plans, maps, steps, or frameworks that turn a mess into, oh, I get it now. And that's probably what you're used to hearing from people often because you're able to make things flow and make sense in a way and recognize how it connects so that they can see it too. The next thing that you're strong at is understanding cause and effect. So, systems thinkers know that actions have consequences, problems usually have more than one cause, and results come from how things interact, not just one decision. And you are probably a very forward thinking person in the sense that you're playing out scenarios and you're looking not only forward but you're also looking at past patterns and what's happened in the last times that we've done this or tried this, and so seeing how one thing plays into another. So you're not just thinking, you think about what is happening next and not just what feels good in the moment. So as I'm reading these, y'all know y'all systems. Y'all know who's a systems thinker. Y'all know y'all thinking styles. But if you are watching this and you haven't got your profile done, let me know if you think that you are a systems thinker, or if you are a systems thinker, let me know which of these is really resonating with you. If not all of them, which likely it will be all of them. So the next thing that you are good at is seeing the invisible stuff. So sometimes the most important things aren't the obvious things. So systems thinkers will look for rules that people don't say out loud, habits that keep repeating, and structures that quietly shape behavior. And I am a systems thinker. It is my secondary thinking style. It's not my dominant, but it is pretty high on the list. And one of the things that people often say to me is that they feel like I can see through them. like like they don't like when I stare at them. They feel like I can like see into their soul. And that I don't necessarily I'm not seeing I ain't got no x-ray vision or nothing, but I am someone who pays attention, and I also, listen and listen for the things that people aren't necessarily saying out loud. And I do that not because I'm trying to read you or make you feel bad about your choices, but it really is to understand you. And if you're somebody that I'm working with, it's really important for me to understand you so that I can help you see what you may be missing or what you may not be noticing. And so that's something that if you are a systems thinker, you probably are used to people giving you that kind of feedback, whether they like it or not. Yes, how things interact and what interaction causes and impacts. Also seeing the invisible. Yep, you okay, those are the ones you resonate with. I definitely will be calm and collected outside than thinking about any and everything. Me too. Me too. There's actually so there's this this example before way before I knew that I was a systems thinker that always stuck with me because it was something that I didn't realize the importance of, right? So there was this group project that I did back in college, and it was one of the most impactful projects that I have ever done in my life. And I never liked group projects, y'all. I never liked them. I always felt like I was the one I was the one who was always leading the charge. I was literally every group project that I was in, I was the spokesperson. I'm always talking. I was like, what is this? What is this conspiracy? Why am I the one talking every single time? And so I just don't like group projects. And this group project was not much better. It wasn't much better. So I was in this product development class, and product development it was related to fashion. So we had to create a extension of a brand. So the brand that we chose was MAC Cosmetics. And we created a handbag line that would be an extension of the cosmetics. So imagine like if Mac decided they was going to drop handbags. That's what we did. That was our the product that we were developing. And so everybody on the team had a different responsibility. We had somebody that was in charge of figuring out where the materials was coming from, sourcing the materials. We had to figure out the marketing. So that was another aspect of it. We had to actually design the products. So that was another responsibility. And then there were a few other things. It was a really big project. It was like half the class, like half the semester. And so this project was worth a hefty amount of our grade. So just so you know, real things was on the line. This project needed to be a success. Otherwise, I was gonna have to take that class again. And I was not gonna be happy if the fact that I had to take this class again was due to somebody playing in my face, right? So that's the energy that I was kind of coming into it with. A little jaded, all right, no pun intended, a little jaded because of the past group projects, but I knew that we just had to do it, you know? So there was a member of our group who was just gone with the wind. Okay. And we could never get in contact with her when we needed her, when it was time for us to put deadlines on our different tasks, or when we had to set up meetings. It was always a challenge to coordinate with her, right? And so we went a very long stretch of time not being able to all work together. Like all four of us. It was four of us in the group. We went a long time not being able to work together. And so when it came down to maybe like the last couple of weeks before this project was due, we all here were looking like, okay, where are these sketches at? What are these bags supposed to look like? Because that was her responsibility. So we're over here like stressed out because we can't present this project half done. We need to have all the components. And what is it going to look like to not have the sketches for the product that we're developing? Like what? So we were really having a hard time just being able to navigate this whole project. And some other things ended up happening that was just like crazy. There was something that she had like bought some kind of like really like professional looking poster board, and she had bought it so that she could print the sketches onto it for the presentation that we had to do. And while that's great, she was also asking us to split the cost on something that she decided to do on her own. So it was just, this is not about her. It's not about her. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me bring it back a little bit because I think it still make me a little hot. But the point is that I'm trying to show you that it was a very challenging experience, especially with her in particular and the group. It was a very challenging dynamic. And so there we were, a few weeks out from the project being due, and there was another woman in the group with me who told me that I made her feel calm. Like she said that I brought this calming presence to the group, and that although all of this stuff was going on, she felt like I was helping keep everything together, essentially. That part is not verbatim, but she literally did say that I made her feel calm. And when I heard that, it almost made me forget that this was a very irritating experience for me, and not realizing how composed I still was. And the thing about the way I navigated even the group was that I feel like I brought the not only the structure to it. I also was the one who would be kind of firm and, okay, if this is not working, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's figure this out. And so literally bringing different solutions to the table and making decisions. And I'm not ashamed, or I don't feel like anybody would disagree with me on this from the group, but I was literally like kind of like organizing and orchestrating everything, and in a lot of ways picking up the slack in some of the areas. And it always stuck with me because it made me feel really good to know that. Like I didn't realize it about myself. I'm because again, like I wasn't a big fan of groups. I didn't like doing stuff in teams. I was like, I'll do it on my own. I'll figure it out. I got it. I'll do it. And so being able to get that kind of feedback, I'm realizing now that a part of that was my systems thinking, especially the fact that internally I was distraught. Okay. I was over it. But externally, it was calm and we figured it out. And we ended up getting a really high grade on that project. So, yes, orchestrating. So, yeah, that was my systems thinking coming out to play in a team setting. And so, if you have had experiences that were similar to that, or if that is the role that you tend to play, you may likely be a systems thinker. I wish that I could go back and assess all of them and see what their thinking styles were, because I have some theories. I have some theories on what they might be, at least the dominant one. But being able to see how it works, and not only a project, but a creative project is really dope to reflect on. So again, if that is how you show up in team settings, then that's probably your systems thinking coming out. And again, whether that is organizing and understanding the relationships between people or things or ideas, concepts, whatever, that's all still systems thinking. All right, so let's talk about how systems thinking shows up as creativity. So, systems thinking is creative, but it's in a quiet but powerful way. Okay. And that is probably one of the biggest reasons why you wouldn't think that you are a creative, especially if your dominant thinking style is systems thinking. So, your creativity looks like building clear systems, designing processes, making step by step plans, explaining complicated things simply, because that's still organizing and that's still recognizing the correlation and then being able to explain it in a way that people can grasp. So these are things that create order, which is what you do. That's how you show up creatively. What motivates you as a systems thinker? You feel energized when there is a clear goal, when things feel organized, when problems need to be figured out. Like I was saying earlier, when there's a problem hate to see you coming, okay? Because you are going to do what you need to do to figure it out. And when confusion can be turned into clarity. And so, even if you are coming into an environment, especially this is going to be important for you to know whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are working a 9 to 5. Knowing what motivates you or what makes you feel energized is going to be key, because now it's going to show you where where you may need to step up, or what you should be suggesting to advocate for yourself, or even thinking about what type of work do I want to do on the entrepreneur side? What types of things actually energize me and make me feel excited? What types of activities, what types of situations? All of this can help you to advocate for yourself, pursue those things so that you are really putting your systems thinking to use. So, the natural questions that you may ask are, how does this fit into the bigger picture? Because you're always thinking, well, how does this support the big goal, the main thing? How does this fit? How does this pave the road to that goal? What is this connected to? How does this make sense? What is this piece helping to accomplish? And then what patterns keep repeating here? And that can, if those patterns are always happening and you're not able to figure out the source, or if you are working with people who don't care about figuring it out, that can end up being a source of frustration for you. And if you're not careful, it can end up being a space of burnout. So if you are finding yourself in places where you're asking those questions and you're not able to have an outlet or a space to contribute in that way, then you may want to reconsider what you're doing, what role you're in, or even what type of work you're doing within your business. Because sometimes we can end up doing things that we really don't feel energized doing, even in our own businesses, because we believe this is what you're supposed to do, or we were told this is the most profitable way. Or even right now, there's this whole discourse that's going on about courses, and our courses dead, are people tired of courses? And so now, because this is an ongoing debate, and it's a new thing every time, but the new thing to dunk on is um courses. And so let's say that you're somebody who is a systems thinker. You are good at building frameworks, you are good at building step by step things, and you're seeing this and you're like, oh, well, what I'm doing makes sense in a course, but they're saying courses are dead. So now maybe I should go into done for you services. And there's not to say that you might not enjoy that, but if you are not able, again, to work with people in a way where you can do the work that energizes you, you're now basing your decision off of a trend, and you're basing it off of something that honestly is not a fact. Like, it is not a fact that people don't want to take courses. People still want to learn, they still want to be able to acquire knowledge. People haven't given up on that. So it doesn't mean that that should be what you're basing your decision off of. So all of that to say that you want to be more mindful of how you are designed and what makes sense for your brain than what it is that people are saying is or is not in style, especially if that is not a proven fact. So, just some things to think about as we are going through all of the thinking styles, paying really close attention to how these present themselves, what things energize you, where you are strongest, and letting that guide your decisions for your business. Okay. So, as a systems thinker, here is how ideas come to you. You don't usually get ideas in a sudden burst. Like, you're not that person. You're not the person who's generating a bunch of ideas at one time. Your ideas come to you when there has been enough information collected. So you might function almost like a scientist, like someone who is taking in information, and then once you have enough, then it helps you to then come up with a new idea. And that can look like you getting information even from things that are not relevant to what you're doing. Like, you're like, naturally you're always collecting information, even if you're not being aware of it, if you're not doing it intentionally. So it might still feel like, oh, where did that come from? But you've still been collecting the information regardless. Another instance where ideas come to you is when things start lining up. And when I tell you, that's where you really get hot, is when things start lining up, because then that's where you can really be on go mode. Like, oh, I have now developed a system that I can repeat. And when that click happens, oh, it's like it's just going now. It's just rolling. Another thing that gives you ideas is when patterns finally click. So similar to when things start lining up, but when patterns finally click, when you sit and you think about, oh wait, every time I wake up, I roll over and I reach for my journal. Or I when I wake up, I feel like I always have this need to just like dump my ideas, right? And you're recognizing that as a pattern. So now you know that if I need to get these ideas out of my head, that gives me the thought to keep a journal next to my bed, or to pull out my phone and record a voice memo first thing in the morning so I can get these ideas out, right? So when you finally start to recognize a pattern, that's where even more ideas start to come from you. So it's like slowly stacking, as opposed to a big burst of, oh, this. So it naturally has a slower rhythm than what is often rewarded, especially when it comes to social media. But when you understand that that's how you're wired and that's how you operate, it's best to move with it than trying to change how you think. And that's my goal with breaking down each of these thinking styles, is that the goal is not to change you, is to understand you so that you can use the way that you work to your benefit, and so that you can understand it and be more unapologetic about who you are. If you're not the person that's just generating a bunch of ideas on the spot, that's just not who you are. It doesn't make you any less creative. It just means that your creativity shows up in a different way. So how can we foster an environment? How can we create something? How can we develop a system, right, that rewards this and supports this so that I can do my best work? Oh, Audrey. Hey. Journal next to my bed, notebooks in my bag, treating myself too much. No, not at all. Actually, I got to buy a new journal myself to appease my systems thinking and my inspirational thinking. Both of my thinking styles require journaling. Okay. The journals are necessary. So here is your creative rhythm. We're talking about the pace, so let's go a little bit further into that. So systems thinkers work best when they can build over time, when they can improve ideas instead of scrapping them. You really do well when you can take something and instead of just being like, nah, how do we improve this? How can we tweak this? You do really well with that. Go deep instead of fast. And you're naturally not gonna, like, when you get an idea, you're probably thinking, I want to go down this rabbit hole instead of moving to the next thing. And that might even look like, instead of what does this mean and how do I take action with this information, how do I go deeper and understand this a little bit more before I move forward with it and make it mean something. And then you also work best when you can keep things connected and consistent. So things they gotta match up, they gotta line up so that you can have that moment where you're building the blocks, things are lining up, and you're noticing the pattern so that you can build momentum. So you shine during planning, organizing, mapping, and making sense of complexity. That's all your time to shine. Okay. They need to pass the mic to you when it comes to those situations. All right. So we've talked about how wonderful you are, all the amazing, incredible things about yourself, the strengths, your rhythm. Now, let's talk about some of the things that are struggles, because there are some things that are naturally going to be challenges for you as a systems thinker. So, one of the things that you are likely struggling with is over planning. Okay. Don't look at me. All right. Don't come for the messenger. I'm just telling you how it is. Okay. Over planning. So you may wait too long to act because you want the plan to be right. 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 And one of the things that is ironic about the over planning and needing things to connect and make sense is that you also thrive when things build over time. So over planning literally is like thwarting what helps you to build momentum. Okay. So that's the first one. The next struggle that you have is discomfort with chaos. So unclear direction or emotional decisions can feel stressful, which is also, like I said with the last one, very interesting because you actually have a strength in making complex things or making chaotic things have clarity. But if it starts out that way, if you're coming into that space, it might take you by surprise or you might be taken aback. And it's important for you to remind yourself of who you are in those moments. And not only remind yourself of who you are, discover, identify what you need that's going to help support what you know are your strengths, and to the best of your abilities creating that environment where you thrive. But discomfort with chaos is another one. Also, as a systems thinker, you're likely less spontaneous. So you often prefer structure over surprise. And I actually am somebody who hates surprises. It's just so funny, but it's on brand clearly. I don't like surprises. I'm not. I can be more spontaneous, but I also have that part of me that's I don't like surprises. I don't like surprises. I like when I can know what to expect. And so not being spontaneous can be a hindrance at times. Another common struggle that you might have as a systems thinker is a hard time changing plans. So pivoting is not always your strong suit, or it might not be your strong suit at all. Like you may not be strong in pivoting or adjusting when plans change. So if new info breaks into the system, it can feel very frustrating, especially if you are pretty far along in your system. You will probably get very irate, very annoyed when something comes in or someone comes in and they start shifting things up, or when they like kind of throw something in there and you're like, now what? Wait a minute. Like when did that enter the chat? So those are your challenges. So over planning, discomfort with chaos, less spontaneity, and a hard time changing plans. So these challenges don't mean that you lack creativity, but they mean that you care deeply about stability and about clarity. So again, don't allow the things that are challenges and struggles to make you believe that you're not a creative person. Okay? You still have the things that you are strong in. You still have your ways that your creativity is expressed. And some of those things, especially when it comes to being spontaneous and even chaos, like those things are often attributed to creatives. And it might make you feel like, oh, I don't fit the bill. Like that don't sound like me. Like, I don't want stuff to be chaotic. I don't do that. I'm not the most spontaneous person. I'm not just gonna just go off and do things. So it might make you start to feel like you don't fit or you don't belong there. But your creativity, and I'll keep reminding you, your creativity shows up differently. It shows up the way that you think. And more often than not, when you challenge your struggles and you give yourself space to be more spontaneous or to learn how to adjust to sudden changes and plans, or even if it's not a sudden change, it's just something you don't like because it don't make sense. This learning to like roll with the punches and include more of those things can make you even more creative. And it doesn't mean that you have to change your systems thinking. Just allow for some things that don't fit the program, if, at least from your perspective, to don't block them out just because they don't make sense or because it feels uncomfortable. Kayla says, I am not a spontaneous person. I need to know the plan exactly. I used to hate surprises. I'm better at not overreacting now. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much better I am at it, y'all. Maybe that should be a goal for me to work on. Mm-mm. I can't say that. I think I have gotten a little bit better. I have gotten better. I have gotten better. Still don't like them that much though. I just don't like them. I don't like them, but I can tolerate them. I think that's my progress. Okay, so let's talk about how the systems thinker works with others. So we're going to talk about how you work as a team, what you need from your team, and this is going to be extremely important for you to understand because we're talking about creativity. We cannot talk about creativity and not talk about collaboration. We can't talk about creativity without talking about community. And your gifts as a systems thinker are not going to be used in isolation. They're going to be used to contribute to the greater good, to the collective. So this part is going to be important for you not only to understand what you're bringing into these spaces and into these partnerships and collaborations, whatever they are, but also being able to understand what you need from people and being able to voice those things so that your collaboration and your teamwork can be as effective as possible. So in group settings, systems thinkers are often the ones who organize ideas, they bring clarity, they keep things aligned, and they think long term. Okay. Those that's what you're often bringing. You're often the one that's going to go for those things first. So, what this gives to the team: structure, clear thinking, smart systems, and it gives direction. Remember, I was telling y'all that there is no business, literally no business is going to be able to survive without a systems thinker in the mix. You need to have a systems thinker somewhere in the not only the execution of it, but the continued no, not in the execution and the building of it. You're going to need them no matter where you are, what stage you're at, because you're bringing that direction, you're bringing that stability, that clarity, you're helping people to make good decisions. So that's what you bring to the team setting. Now, what you need from your team is a clear purpose, consistent expectations, and time to think and organize. And that one is going to be that's probably going to be a really big one, especially if you are in a setting where you're working with someone. Let's say that your leader of your team or a member of the team, doesn't have to be a leader, is a divergent thinker. And we're going to talk about divergent thinking next week. And so, as a divergent thinker, they are very spontaneous. They're almost like the opposite of you when it comes to creative expression. And they may kind of like like kind of move fast, and they may ask or not, I won't say they require from you, but they may ask you to do a lot of like on the spot things. And you may be in a space where you're getting things kind of like dropped on you, and so it's going to be important for you to be able to communicate that and let them know, hey, that's not how I operate. I may be able to like flex those muscles every now and then, but what I really need is time to reflect and to process this and to think about it so that I can come to you with a solution that makes sense. So, just thinking again like how this shows up not only in what you need, but in the dynamics. There it may end up being friction, especially with the thinking styles that move at a faster pace than you do. Okay. I think as a systems thinker, you're probably if we're talking about like fast and slow the process, um, I would say that you're probably like one of the slower paced thinkers, and so you really do require more time than the other thinking styles do. The only one that I would say possibly might be at that same speed is inspirational thinking. Mm, maybe no, I would say maybe lateral thinking. I think lateral and systems thinking are like on the far end of the spectrum when it comes to speed. And so just being patient. It doesn't make anyone better than the other. It's just understanding that we operate differently and our strengths are in different places. And so we are going to have to understand each other and, make accommodations so that we're both able to do our best work. So, thinking styles that work well with systems thinkers, these are the ones that are going to balance you out the best. So the first one is the divergent thinkers. Ironically, right? That's probably going to be the one again. Like I said, y'all might butt heads. It might be a little friction, but they're good for you because they are able to generate lots of ideas and they're able to do it at a very high pace. They're also the type of thinkers that are very like action oriented. Like they're the go-getters. Like they're not afraid to just try stuff. And then take what they've got from that information and do whatever they need to do, right? So divergent thinkers, they'll bring the ideas, you'll bring the strategy, the structure, and the clarity to it. Intuitive or inspirational thinkers, rather, inspirational thinkers are good for you because inspirational thinkers bring the emotion, the meaning to things, and the expression. And as a systems thinker, especially if it is your dominant thinking style, you might lean towards being a little bit more direct, and there may not be a lot of space for how things feel and the passion behind what you're doing, the why, and being able to communicate that. So an inspirational thinker will be able to help you to remember those things and to consider those things in what you're building. And again, with the inspirational thinking, the inspirational thinkers, the systems thinker is bringing the structure and the clarity to that emotion, to those meanings, so that it is turns into something that lasts. The last thinker that works well with systems thinkers is aesthetic thinkers. So you, as an aesthetic thinker, they help to make the systems feel good and not just work well. And it's so funny because I just did an assessment where the person thought that they were a systems thinker and they're actually an aesthetics thinker. And the you wouldn't think that they were so similar, but aesthetics thinkers are not just thinking about how to make things look good. They're thinking about the harmony and the experience of things and bringing the balance. And so you are bringing as a systems thinker, you're bringing the clarity, you're bringing the structure, you're bringing the frameworks, and then the aesthetics thinkers are bringing the experience and the harmony, and they're considering what does this feel like for the person to experience this and whatever that means. And that experience will often include the visuals as well. So they're not just there to make things look pretty, but you complement each other very well because your thinking is actually very similar. Your approach is just going to be a little different. So those are the thinking styles. Aesthetic, inspirational, divergent thinkers are who are really going to balance you out. Lateral thinkers are, I'm not saying that lateral thinking or lateral thinkers are off the table for you, but you're going to want to have you're going to want to have one of those in the mix if you got a lateral thinker and a systems thinker, because again, y'all are on the slower end when it comes to execution. So somebody got to like, all right, let's do this, you know? So just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean you can't work with them, but y'all might need to, add another person in the mix with y'all. So your role in the creator ecosystem as a systems thinker, you are the strategist. And so you build trust by explaining how things work, by creating clear paths forward, and by showing how pieces fit together. And I want you to think about this not just in terms of who you are and how you show up, but this is also what you bring to people. And I'm saying it that way because I want you to think about what that means as you show up with your content and how people experience you with your work in your business. What are the things that you are creating? What are you developing? How do you approach this? How do you share this information as a systems thinker? So those are the things. Explaining how things work. That's how people learn to trust you. That's your strength. So explaining how things work, creating clear paths forward, and showing how the pieces fit together. So keep all of those in mind as you are mulling over what kind of content should I be creating and how do I market this? If I put together a workshop, how should it be set up? How do I even approach speaking? If you want to get into being a speaker, then your signature framework, I'm trying to think of the word for it right now. I can't think of it right now, but your whatever it is that you are consistently speaking about, your topic can be centered around frameworks, explaining things, making it simple, making it make sense, creating a path. So just keep that in mind when it comes to expressing your ideas and building trust with people. So these are especially, you are especially good at teaching, guiding. You see my wink, Kayla? Guiding, simplifying complex ideas, and creating frameworks and plans. So those are things that you are especially good at. It is not by any means an exhaustive list, but what you do is going to probably gravitate towards those areas. All right. So our last section here that we're going to cover is how systems thinkers can grow. So not only are we talking about the good and the bad, the things that make you feel a way about yourself, I also want you to be empowered by this information and learn what it means to really develop in it and to become even more bold and more audacious and more confident in the way that you think as a creative. So, as systems thinkers, you can stay creative and flexible by leaving room for change. That's the first one, and that's going to challenge the thing, the uncertainty that you don't like or the discomfort with that, and the part of you that wants to make all the steps make sense and see it all outlined. So leave room for change. Another thing that's going to help you to grow is to share your work before it feels perfect. You may feel this need to present a finished product to people, even if they're on the team with you, even if they work with you. And I want to encourage you and remind you that it does not need to be perfect to be shared. In fact, the more voices that you have, the ones that matter, the more thinkers that you have that are different than the way that you think, the better your systems can be because you are inviting them into the building of it and not something that once you get all this information from them, now you got to figure out how to navigate it, right? Like let's like bring people into the process. Another thing that you can benefit from is letting emotion and intuition in early. So you as a systems thinker are probably very drawn to logic, and you go for what is the most practical I thing, and you go back to according to my research X, Y, and Z, and you still have intuition, you still have insight, you still have bursts of inspiration, you still have feelings that when you allow those to come into the picture, that also makes you more creative, especially when we talk about the emotions, because creatives, artists are good at getting people to confront emotions in a way that bypasses their reasoning, their logic. You know, you think about music. You might start crying listening to a song before you even wonder before you even realize why, right? So letting the emotions in, letting the intuition in is going to make you a stronger creative, and it's going to really show you that you're a creative person. And then the last thing that you can do to grow is to experiment in public, not just in private. And this is one, if I'm being very transparent with y'all, I do not always enjoy doing. Like that one can end up being a challenge for me. And so one of the things that I decided to do is to not only be more transparent. I feel like I naturally do that, but being more willing to share my process. So if you are subscribed to my emails, you're getting the best of this, like you're getting the most of this from me because I am sharing things that I'm doing almost in real time, if not in real time. And I'm letting y'all know this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm trying out. This is how this worked. This is what I learned. So being able to do that doesn't make you any less good as a systems thinker. It doesn't make you any less credible. And if anything, it makes people trust you even more because now you're showing that I'm a human and I'm learning these things. But even being able to see how your mind works, that is showing the framework and showing the step by step without saying it, without teaching it. You're just showing it, right? So just consider that, and think about that as you move forward in whatever you do. Experimenting in public, not just in private. That doesn't mean you got to put out everything that you do. You still can save some things for, private, close friends. You don't have to tell everybody what you're doing all the time. You got to give a step by step into your entire life. But thinking about the things that matter, that you feel are important to share, and just consider experimenting and bringing people into the process, because people enjoy that kind of stuff and it makes you more relatable, and it makes it so that you get to feel more human too, because a perception that I believe that systems thinkers can get from people is that you have it all together, like you got it all figured out. They may see you as a know-it-all, whether you are a condescending person or not. It's just the way that you carry yourself and the way that you are able to come to these conclusions and understand these patterns and things like that. That can just be intimidating to somebody who is not naturally strong as a systems thinker. And or even if they are, it doesn't allow for people to see your humanity as much. So doing something like that will not only help you to grow as an individual, but it'll also help people to connect to you better, which I'm sure you have a desire to do. So, this is going to help you to still stay structured without getting stuck. Okay? So, that is the systems thinker, y'all. I'm looking at, I don't know, I don't remember when I started this. Every time I do these, I say I'm going to try to keep it not going past an hour. When this is done, I don't know how much of this is going to actually be the systems thinking part. But yeah, that's the systems thinker. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to share how you can learn what your systems thinking style is. So let me tell y'all what that is and formally invite you to the Getting Unshy Collective. And it is a space for you to build your brand in a way where you have accountability, you have light structure, you have guidance, you have support to help you to build a brand that is bold, that is you, and that's something that lets you to see how your different ways of thinking, your multifacetedness, how it all can come together in a way that makes sense. One of the things that I have consistently come up against, which prompted me to create the Getting Unshot Collective in the first place, is feeling like I'm being consistent, I'm showing up, and it feels like I'm still not getting anywhere. And especially when it came to working with business coaches and buying different products and joining different programs and feeling like I'm still not seeing myself in this. This feels like I don't use that kind of language, or I me trying to show up and post 5 times a day, that doesn't make sense for me. Like I can't, I'm not doing this. It's not working for me, and starting to internalize that and make that my fault, make that my problem. I'm just not working hard enough. I'm just not smart enough. I'm not made to do this. And feeling often discouraged and what this looks like to even make this a business. And so the collective is a space for those people. And it works because it gives you clarity first, which is what a lot of people are lacking, like clarity, understanding themselves, understanding where they fit, understanding what their lane is, understanding why should I do this when so many people are doing this? How do I stand out? How do I do this without boxing myself in? How do I do this without being in a niche that feels like it's the old version of me? How do I do this and show up and do this fully? That's where the clarity comes into play. The next step in that is the consistency, because once you understand yourself, how you work, how your mind works, then that's where you get to build the consistency, because you're showing up in a way that's sustainable for you. I talked about this in a video that I just posted on TikTok. I will post it over here as well so y'all can see. I kind of gave a little overview, some insight into the strategy that helped me to get to my 1K subscribers. And so the consistency is one that I'm able to show up consistently because I understand how my mind works and how I need to process information, how I need to formulate it, and then how to put it out, and then how to repurpose it so that I'm still showing up consistently without burning myself out. Okay. The last step in that is confidence, because the confidence comes from repeatedly showing yourself, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. This is the evidence that I have. This is the work that I've done with so and so. This is how I was able to do an entire get ready with me video. And I was talking about business the whole time and it converted, like things that if you think about how to execute it and how to make it make sense, you don't feel as confident. But once you start doing it and seeing that it works and giving yourself the evidence, that's what builds your confidence. And that is what you need. Literally, those steps are what you need to show up, to monetize your creativity in a way that makes sense for you, and to be confident in the way that you do it. Because if we don't need anything else, we need more people who are confident in being different. We need more people that are confident in the fact that, look, I may talk about affirmations, but we're finna paint while we do these affirmations. We're not just talking these affirmations out. We're wearing our affirmations and being comfortable, being confident in the fact that it might look different than what people are used to seeing, but you know what you're doing and you do it well, and it's providing results for people. So the collective gives you a space where you get to do that. You're going to have I won't say ongoing feedback, but it'll be like ongoing feedback. There is a course, and there's also different workshops that I'm going to be doing, and there's different resources that I'll be sharing in there. We'll also have semi bi-weekly calls. They may be more or less depending on the month, but at minimum there's going to be a group call a month. Those can be Q&A calls. Those can be something where we work on a specific problem that I'm noticing that people have. There's something that I want to start doing in there as well, that I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to make the first post for it, but I'm going to be showing you, I'll be building in public inside of the community. And I'll be sharing things that I won't even be sharing in my email list about what it's been like to build this, where my head is at, what I'm trying out, what's working, what's not working. And I'm excited because I feel like it'll be a space where I get to share those things with y'all more candidly, and it'll be a space where I can really pour as much as I want to, because I know that these are people that are invested in it, that really want it, and I can see what kind of results they're getting. So it's gonna be an exciting time. I had to take a minute to think about, what is it that I want this to do? How do I want this to exist? And it feels like I finally found something that's aligned. So if you want more information about it, I'm going to be putting it in the description box, or you can comment getting unshy, and I will respond to you personally and give you the information that you need to go and check it out. And I'm really hype about what we're going to be doing in the collective this year. So that's the invitation. Inside of there, you'll also have access to the creative thinking assessment. And what I'll be doing for the first, let's say, 20 people, the first 20 people that join it, I'll be doing the assessment with you. So I'll be walking you through it. I'll help you decide what your creative thinking style is. We'll do it together. You'll take the assessment, and you'll have a profile that explains your brain and what that looks like, not only in your business, but also what it looks like to market that, what that looks like in content, and what platforms make the most sense for it. All of that is included in just that one assessment alone. So I am super, super, super excited for those that are going to join. That's how you can get access to it. Outside of that, I will announce if there are other options to take the creative thinking assessment. I'll play around with that. I'll play around with that. But if I do decide to do that, if something like that comes up, then I will let y'all know. But currently, the way to get it is to be in the collective. Okay. There's so many good things in there already. So So that's the invitation to you. And I'm thinking what I need to share before we get off of here. Last thing. So next week, we're going to be talking about divergent thinkers. I'm going to be doing the case study on, I think that I'll do it on Tuesday. If anything changes, I will let y'all know. So Tuesday evening, we'll do the case study. And then we'll do the breakdown of the divergent thinker on Thursday. So we're moving along. After that, we just have the aesthetic thinker and we have the inspirational thinker. I don't know what order that's going to go in yet. We're going to see it. Whoever speaks to me first is who I'm going to do. But divergent was next on the list. So super excited for that. So y'all, how are y'all feeling? What did y'all think about the systems thinking breakdown? I feel like somebody in the chat figured out that they're a systems thinker or at least aligns with it. I think that it's so cool. I love systems thinkers, not just because it's a part of my makeup, but because of what they bring to the creative ecosystem, to the team, to the collective. Systems thinkers are definitely underrated. So I had to do it right for y'all. Wait. Oh, Audrey, that's so sweet. Make sure to enroll in anything Jada is offering. It has made a huge difference in how I show up in my business. Thank you so much for that, Audrey. I appreciate that. Y'all make sure that you check out Audrey. I I don't have it out, but I am going to be filling out my whole soul finance integration planner, and I will have to do a separate video just telling y'all how incredible that journal is, how incredible the whole framework is. And I'm actually really excited because she is formally relaunching and putting out the entire whole soul finance framework. And the things that she came up with, this assessment that she came up with, was mind blowing, y'all. And it's all about finance and how to approach it from a holistic perspective and not the typical here is how you budget and credit card debt and money mindset, all of the stuff that is just like, please spare me. Like, I need something that's going to actually help me to change how I engage with money and my understanding of it, and what am I doing with it, and how do I handle it without shame because of the choices I made in the past. All of that stuff, she talks about that and so much more inside of it. There's a what's the term for it? There's a profile that you have, like a almost like a personality, like a brand personality. There's a personality, there's a archetype. That's the word I'm looking for. There's an archetype for the way that you view finances. So she's going to be able to explain that so much better than I did. I just got really excited, and I wanted to make sure that y'all knew that you should be following Audrey. Okay. Make sure you are connected to her. Her mind will completely change the way that you view finances. Like, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. It has been the only thing that has not only connected with me on a really deep level, even the things that I learned from her program and from the planner, I use it for things that have nothing to do with money. Like, it's that good. It is that good. So if that's something that is one of your goals, if your finances in any way, and changing how you manage them, how you view them, if you're just ready for something different when it comes to that area, then make sure that you are connected to her. um and yeah, that's my shot. I had to shout that out. It's the whole soul prosperity profile. Yes, okay, but it is an archetype, right? Yeah, the whole soul prosperity profile. So make sure you're checking her out. I know she posts on YouTube. So if you connect with her on YouTube, then you'll be connected to her content. Can you, Audrey, after this, don't do it in the chat. Can you come back to this video once it's posted? Or I'll do it if you're not able to, but I'm gonna actually put your information in the comments so that the people that come back and watch this can get connected with you. So and I'll put more than YouTube. I'll make sure I put Instagram. Yeah, I'll do Instagram and I'll do YouTube. Um yeah, okay. I think that's it. That's it. Yeah, no, my pleasure. I'm gonna tell everybody about you all the time. It's never gonna stop. Everyone needs to be a part of this world that you are building. So y'all, okay. That's all I got for y'all today. I missed y'all. I am so excited for this year. I'm so excited for what this this era, this sensual era is going to bring. Um and I'm excited to present that to y'all when I do. Again, I don't know when that's going to happen. It'll most likely be towards the end of the month so that I can work through the creative thinking styles first. But yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good conversation. And that's it. So y'all be good. Stay safe. Uh mask up when you go outside because the flu is not playing any games with any of us. And I'll see y'all in the next video.